You made in a pot on the stove according to the other one. I'm going to make it an Instant Pot. They turn around and tell you to saute up a bunch of onions. So I have these frozen. They're almost defrosted at this point. But I have these frozen onion pepper mixture that I get at, this one comes from Walmart. But so I just dump it inside the pot. And we put it in the Instant Pot. And I'll put it on saute mode. Okay, so that starts that. And as we go along, I'll show you what we need to do. Okay, so you just dump the onions in and that starts the saute. Okay, I don't think the sauteing is that important. And you take it called out for 2, but these are small, so I'm using 4 stalks of celery. And they just tell you to chop it up. So you can chop it like this, or you can put it inside of something like this, which is a Ninja chopper, which is really cool. I'll show you how that's done with the carrots. And Amy got me this really cool knife. It's a Dahlstrom. Yeah. Dahlstrom knife. That was for my birthday. This is the sharpest knife I've ever had. You got to be really careful. I have these other ones that are really nice. What are they? Cephalon. Huh? Cephalon. Cephalon. But I have these knives, and I've loved them. And then she got me this thing. I was like, what do I need with another knife? I love my knives. And she got me this, and I was like, wow, that's a knife. So then I use this pot here. I don't know if you can see it, but I threw all my scraps inside of this thing. And then we compost them. So what I do is when the carrots are really big like this, I'll slice them like that. All right. What am I doing, Amy?
I didn't know if you were going to put in a Ninja thing.
Well, I'm going to put the other ones in. Okay. Now, one thing that you can do if you don't want to chop, you can just buy another frozen bag. Can you get me that bag out of the freezer? Yeah. So you can just get this is cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, California blend. And you can just dump that in, which I might do anyway. We'll see how full the pot gets. So anyway, I told you I was going to show you how this thing works. So you take the carrots, you stick them in, put the lid on. Then you take this, it's a food processor. And that's it. So you don't even have to bother chopping. And you can have them in pretty decent sized chunks, which is really easy. But I don't mind chopping. So I take carrots and onions, and I just toss them in. And then it doesn't call out for mushrooms, but I like mushrooms, and we're going to put some of them in whole, and I'm going to slice them up. And we just got this really neat new slicer, so I'm going to put like half and half, because I like the texture sometimes of having it meaty. But check this out. I got this new mushroom slicer. And we eat mushrooms every day because Amy says it keeps the cancer away. But you take this, you take the mushroom, and it's like an egg slicer, but it's a heavy-duty egg slicer. And then you just push it down, and it slices it. Look at that. It's little slices of mushrooms, just like that. So you just take it, put it down, throw it in. Take it, push it down. This thing saves me so much time. It's unbelievable. And it's got these heavy duty blades. It's not like the little wires that you normally see on the egg slicers. It's got heavy duty wires on it. So I think Amy has a link to it in her show notes. You can talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to show you that. And this thing here, if you don't have one, This thing lays right over your sink. It's colander that lays right over your sink.
And it's adjustable.
It's wonderful. Saves me so much time. Okay, so that, you take a little bit of garlic. I keep my garlic, I buy it inside of the
Yeah, so it's already gotten the paper taken off and so forth. And so he buys it in the refrigerator section, and then but he freezes it. So this way, if we don't have fresh garlic, we always have garlic that he can mince if he wants to.
And this is just a garlic press. And if you don't have a garlic press, you really should get one. And this one here does a really nice job.
And he didn't use any oil. He didn't even put vegetable broth in the Instant Pot. And he's got it on a high saute mode there.
So right now everything is sauteing. So you take celery, carrots, garlic, and it calls out for salt. Now I don't use salt, but I use Table Tasty. I find Table Tasty to have an excellent taste, and it gives a beautiful, beautiful salty flavor. And it's made up of like 14 or 18 different spices and vegetables and stuff. So it's made with peppers, nutritional yeast. So if you don't like nutritional yeast gives it a cheesy, but this stuff, the only thing in here is the citric acid, but that helps with giving it that salty flavor. I love it. So 2 tablespoons of that. Now you can add more, you can add less. You can always taste it later.
We're gonna have a link to the recipe in the show notes also, so don't worry.
And I use this Chili 9000, which is it's from Penzies. This stuff is wonderful. It has nutritional yeast in there as well, but it's got like 3 different types of chili type peppers, basil, and parsley. The original called out for fresh. I have fresh basil, but I don't have fresh parsley. But inside the notes, you know, when you look at the recipe, people make comments. One of the people had said, I use dried and dried. So I figured, okay, we'll just go with the dried because I want it so that anybody can make it at any time. All you need is onions. They called out for fresh tomatoes. I have some fresh tomatoes, but I didn't have 2, you know. So this is 2 cups, and it's called out for 2 cups of fresh tomatoes. So I've got this palmy chopped tomatoes, and this measured out 2 cups. It was actually almost 26 and a half ounces. So, I mean, wait a second. I just splattered myself.
Okay, he was supposed to wear this cool apron that our son got for him. So maybe he'll wear it.
This is a holiday gift.
Yep, he's my superhero in
Want
the
to try that
kitchen.
one?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Thank you. So I'm going to use the rest of it too, because to me, if in fact I don't think it'll be too tomatoey. It calls out for white beans, and a lot of people use northern beans. I have cannellini beans that I just got the other day from Whole Foods, and they tell you to drain it and rinse them, but that's usually salt. I use salt free. And then another person made a comment that I like to use the fava because it gives it a creamier texture in the soup. So I figured I'm just going to use the whole thing. So now the original one called out for dried beans, and they were cooking it for over an hour. This one here, if we did it on a pot, I would cook it for a half hour because you want the farro, which I had soaked. You want the farro to cook. It takes about 25 minutes simmering it on the stove. But in an Instant Pot, all those things get cut in half. So what I did is I took the farro and I soaked it in hot water. We have this instant hot water that comes out of our stove, our sink. Anyway, so I have this soaking in water. This is 1 cup of farro soaking in water, and I just drain it. Because I guess even though I rinsed this several times, I wanted to get the starchiness off of it. So now I got a cup of farro in there. And this cup of farro will expand to almost 2 cups of farro. You know, it expands a little bit, at least a cup and a half. Okay. So I got the basil. Now all I need is the water now. And I wanted to use this. What am I doing, honey? Talk.
Okay, yeah. I was just going to see if I could tilt this Instant Pot a little bit to kind of give you a view of what it looks like. It's pretty full right now. You can see the farro on top, and I can hear it sizzling. And at no point are we worrying about things burning or sticking to the bottom, because even though you don't use oil, there's so much liquid in there.
Goes out for 6 cups of water. Now I'm using the hot water from, we have a filtered system on our house, RO,
Yes.
the whole house RO. But I also have this filtered through another RO underneath the sink that goes into this Instant Pot and also hooks up to my refrigerator.
And when you use the boiling hot water, it speeds up the cooking process. So if you, while you're prepping food, if you don't have one of these instant hot water gadgets in your sink, you could just use a tea kettle or microwave and heat up the water in advance while you're prepping your food,
perfect.
and then you can, yeah.
So,
like it's almost full.
so this brings it up pretty much to the max line. And you don't want it to go above this little relief valve on the bottom of your pot, and it doesn't. But it also has a max line, which is right here on the Instant Pot. So what I'm going to do is give this a little mix. So I put a bag of frozen onions and peppers, three or 4 stalks of celery, a couple of carrots, a couple of cloves of garlic, table tasted chili 9000, farro, white beans, water, basil, and parsley, and tomato.
And that says great apron.
My sister gave this to me for a birthday present or something.
Oh, and that, did you just pop on and you want to know what Rick's making? He's making a Tuscany farro soup. He found this recipe on the internet, and it had all kinds of deleterious ingredients like oil and salt. So he's adapting the recipe, which is going to be a link in the show notes if you want to see all the ingredients.
Now, I didn't put the California blend inside of this. I'm going to put it back inside the freezer.
If you didn't want to go above the max fill-up.
Plus, I wanted to see how this turned out all by itself. So, like I said, originally it said put it inside of a stock pot on your stove and cook it for an hour. In the Instant Pot, I'm putting it in, and we're going to put it on pressure, and we're going to do it for 12 minutes. Wait a second, that's 10 hours. That's not what we want. Let's do beans, 30, and we'll knock it down. So I'm just going to do 12 minutes. And we'll do I'm not going to do a natural pressure release for you. I'm just going to pressure release it, and we'll see how it turns out. I figured a natural pressure release, it'll just make the farro a little bit softer, but I don't know. I'm going to do it, and we'll make a decision, because I wrote it up. I said, let's do a natural pressure release, but instead we will do an instant release. And I got this cute little dragon that Amy got me, and you'll see how it works, because when you knock the venting off, steam will shoot out of its mouth like the fire-breathing dragon. So looks
Gotta
really
have fun in
look,
the kitchen.
it looks really cool. Anyway, so that's how easy it is. I pre-measured everything, but it really didn't take me too long. It's just, a teaspoon of garlic. I mean, I don't know. It's really simple.
And this is the first time he's made the recipe, and that's what's so great. You can just experiment in the kitchen. And what I think is cool is because you're not using animal products. Okay.
There you go.
Because you're not using animal products, you can taste as you go, and you don't have to worry about having any contaminants or cross-contaminating when you're cooking. So, and that's what a lot of times what he likes to do is just kind of taste. And then, you adjust as you go because it went to the max fill line, and so you
Yeah, it worked out perfect.
didn't want to put out anything else in. So this recipe was not designed for the Instant Pot
No.
electric pressure cooker.
I
but
just
it made it work.
said, I think you can make inside the Instant Pot, and it'll work out really good. And this will serve for at least 8 people, maybe more, but depends how big bowls you make and all the rest of that stuff. And you can always add to it. So if in fact you wanted to feed more people, you can make up either a little bit more noodles or something. You can throw macaroni in with this stuff.
Whole wheat.
Right, whole wheat. Or you can do more farro, or leave it the way that it is. Now, one thing that I did want to mention is I was thinking about putting in this rotel. This rotel, it's made with diced tomatoes and chili, and we use no salt, but it gives it a nice kick. I'll put this inside with my salsas. But I was like, okay, I'll just leave it the way that it calls out for. But that's why I added the chili 9000, because inside of it said black pepper. Somebody else made in the comments that they use chili flakes, and I love this chili 9000, and the fact that the nutritional yeast will give it a little cheesy flavor, and I like that. And it's also gives it a more saltiness, and because you're not adding salt, you want that saltiness. Because everybody always says, "Oh, it needs salt, needs salt, needs salt." With my stuff, usually you don't need any salt. And if I do, I'll put in a little bit more table tasty. Or you take a lemon and squeeze the lemon or a lime in with that, and man, it just gives it a totally another dimension. I like to layer my stuff. Have that umami flavor with the sour and the sweet. We'll see how it turns out. Anyway. Inside of their recipe, they called out to put a Parmesan cheese on top of it when the soup is already done. So when you go to serve it, so we make a Parmesan, but we make it with the nuts, and it's on Amy's website. So she calls it Rick's Parmesan cheese, Parmesan cheese, and it's made with nutritional yeast and nuts. Now. Most people just use cashews. My oldest daughter is allergic to cashews. So since I freeze a lot of stuff, I don't hardly make anything with cashews, though I have cashews in the house because I really enjoy it. A lot of people make their ice cream with cashews. I make my ice cream with macadamia nuts, walnuts, Brazil nuts, and hemp seeds. We go through a lot of hemp seeds. I buy hemp seeds by the 3-pound bag. And a lot of times I'll buy like 3 bags of this because it goes from like 90 cents down to 60 cents or whatever it is, $1.50 down to $1 an ounce. But these are really good, and they're moist and always seem fresh, and it's vacuum packed. So, but I already pre-measured out. In my recipe, I called out for half a cup of nuts. So in this, it's Brazil nuts, hemp seeds, and walnuts. I ran out of macadamia nuts. They're supposed to come today. Anyway, and I use a NutriBullet. So if you don't have a NutriBullet, you can use small food processor. The more it's processed, the finer the nuts will be. The problem that I see with the nuts a lot of times is like, especially these Brazil nuts, they're oily. So what I've done, I saw these recipes with other people, but mine is different. I add more nutritional yeast, and I add table tasty to give it the saltiness. So, and garlic powder and onion powder, which I already put in with this stuff. So what I do is I don't know if a lot of people don't have this anymore. I'm not even sure if they make them. I probably do, but this is like a grinding wheel. So I use the grinding wheel, and I'll put the nuts inside of there. And I won't add all of it, but I'll add some nutritional yeast and a little bit of table tasty for now, because I want to get those nuts ground up, and then I'll put the rest of it in and grind it. So you put it inside of there. I always wear ear protection when I use the Vitamix or this NutriBullet, because to me it makes a little bit too much noise. For some reason, this thing's spinning on me. Hold on a second. Here we go. It gets a little oily. Because the nuts are oily, they're not dry. You can do it in a Vitamix, but from what I could tell, it goes down to the bottom too much, and it's hard to get them out of that Vitamix wheel. I wish Vitamix made it so that you can unscrew the bottom of it and just dump the rest of it out, but they don't. And I can see where that would be a problem too in the future. Anyway, so this sometimes what I wind up doing, let me show you what it looks like. See, right now it's a little moist, but you can see it. So a lot of times I'll put this inside of the microwave on a flat piece of parchment paper, or put it in the Breville and just put it on like 200 and let it dry out, kind of like I can barely hear myself. So, but that's I keep parchment paper in here. Just lay it out, pop it in the microwave and let it dry out, but you can serve it just like this. What I wind up doing is keeping it in the refrigerator and putting it in a little shaker. Where is my shaker? Oh, you know what I didn't do? What I wanted to do? I wanted to add a bay leaf inside of here. So since it hasn't come up to pressure yet, where are you? There you are. If you don't have one of these spice rack things, it's really cool. It just comes right out, and then you have all these little spices that you can look at. I have 3 of them. I have a little here too. So it comes right out. Isn't that nice? And it mounts real easy. So I'm going to take 2 bay leaves. I'm going to throw it in with these. Okay. Well, that's about it. This thing, once it comes up to pressure, it'll be 12 minutes before it's final cooked. I didn't make any ahead of time. Like I said, this is the first time that I'm making it. Where's my little shaker thing? You talk to them for a while. Thank you.
I don't know if you get to see the cheese. See if I bring it over here, if you can kind of see it better. But and you can really, it has a very strong aroma. It really smells really nice.
What I used to do when my mother taught me this a long time ago. When you have things that wind up caking or get dried together, put in some rice, and the rice will keep it drier because it soaks up. It's kind of like when you drop your phone in the toilet.
Not that we know anybody that ever did
or
that.
it gets wet. You know, you put it in a bag of rice and it sucks it dry. It does. It'll do the same thing here.
Right. So, but it's uncooked rice. So the parchment paper comes in handy for putting the things into the container too. So Rick likes to keep this in the refrigerator, and anytime you think you want to sprinkle some kind of Parmesan kind of cheese, powdery kind of flavor onto our food.
I usually have a little one, and I keep that in the refrigerator. And I'll take this, and I'll put it inside, and I'll freeze it, because you can always unfreeze it. But this stuff will stay for several weeks, no problem, inside of your refrigerator. And taste that.
See, that's a real cook. They always taste. Whoa.
Right?
That's good.
It's salty and it's cheesy, and
oh boy.
It by itself sometimes seems a little overpowering, but when you're putting it in with other things, it will mix. You know, it's kind of like you won't eat pepper all by itself, but when you put pepper in with, it just brings it that much more. Anyway, so I keep it inside of here. Normally I have a little shaker top on it, and then I just shake it out. Works out really good.
So I can't wait to taste this, and we'll see. It may be ready before the broadcast is over. So does anybody have any questions? Hi, Ruth Morgan. Can you use a different grain to make it gluten-free?
Yeah, quinoa. And if you use quinoa, it'll cook even quicker, because in an Instapot, now you could use couscous, I guess. I don't think couscous.
No, I don't think. I think, yeah.
I'm not sure it's couscous, but
yeah, but it's
definitely quinoa. You know, let's see, do I have quinoa?
And it wouldn't take as long to cook, right?
No.
So, because quinoa cooks up really quickly. So that, hi Joanne. Oh, Joanne Lakes, hi.
Quinoa, 1 minute inside of an Instapot in order to cook this grain, if it's a grain. It is a grain.
Yeah. So Joanne said, Rick, you need to try frike. Frike?
Yes.
It's fire roasted baby wheat. You can get it at Walmart in the Middle Eastern section where the date base is located. That's our little, that's our inside joke.
Hi, Joanne.
We miss you.
We do.
We're friends with Joanne.
She's a better cook than me.
Yeah, we're trying to convince her to be a guest on our show because she's an awesome cook. And she makes one, and if you go on my YouTube channel, you'll find her making a whole bunch of different things that we used to, when we met in person, we would have her as
in fact, she had donated like 2 or 3 big boxes of cookbooks.
Oh yeah.
When she turned vegan or vegetarian, then vegan.
Yeah.
And then we made her SOS free, but I don't think she's totally SOS free.
But she knows how to adapt the recipes
to
make
man,
them.
she's delicious. Everything that she makes is like,
yeah, she's a cooking
I want that
genius.
recipe.
Yeah, so we'll have to. I don't know what is that frika?
That's what she said.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I've never used it.
So when you go, if anybody does shop at Walmart, they always say shop the perimeter of the store, right, to get the produce and so forth. But they have another aisle that has international foods and so forth. And sometimes you can find things there that you wouldn't miss, like date paste or this frika stuff. Apparently, we're gonna have to look for that.
Date paste.
Yeah. So
Walmart.
Just things that you can find like that you wouldn't know existed because they keep them separate from the other. So you'll find beans there.
See this date paste?
Yeah, that's what we.
You can get it at Amazon as well, but it's and it'll be delivered right to your door.
Yeah.
But Walmart, not all of them carry it, but this stuff here is almost 13 ounces. So it's the equivalent of about 30 dates.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to cook with because you just cut it.
Cut it in half, dump it in my Vitamix, blend it up with whatever, and you have
so that's
something for a cake or a pie.
That's how our
pudding or ice cream.
We have a group that we meet with in person, and you can join us on our Facebook group. It's Venice Whole Food Plant-Based Lifestyle, and you can be a part of our group if you like, and we share recipes and so forth. But that's one of tips that we shared with each other, and people didn't know where to find it, and it was in the international aisle. Okay, any other questions? Let's see, do we have another question? Okay, Jacob. Hi, Jacob. I'm trying to be SOS free. What can I use to get a salty taste besides salt?
Table Tasty is my favorite.
Right. We'll have a link to it in the show notes, Jacob.
I'll show you.
So if you want to find it there, you can find how to get it and order it online if you want to. But that's a big part of, that was a big deal for us when we discovered it, because we really, in the beginning, especially when we were trying to eliminate salt from our lifestyle, we didn't realize how much salt was in processed foods and even the animal products.
I buy Table Tasty.
Yeah.
And I buy it in the 2-pound bags, and I'll buy 2 or 3 of these bags at one time, because it cuts down a little bit on the shipping costs, if there are shipping costs, and packaging, right?
Yeah, so it's nice to.
But that's my favorite. But you could use a lemon, you could use a lime. Those things will change it, make your taste buds tricked into thinking that it's salty. Other people have used stuff that you get from Costco. It's Kirkland.
That's another salt substitute.
But I don't find this to be very salty, but I have used this. Joanne had developed a knockoff Table Tasty, and I've used this with some of those recipes in order to make my Table Tasty go a little farther. Sometimes we were running low, so you can make your own. And it does taste exact, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, because when we first started out, we were using some other salt substitutes, and a lot of them had ground pepper in them.
Yes.
And so here I am putting a salt substitute, and all I'm tasting is black pepper, and I said, this doesn't taste like salt. So that was a big hurdle for us to get over using the salt. It was Mrs. Dash.
Yeah, so
Jewel.
Mrs. Dash.
Oh, look, Jewel Cockles up.
Hi, Jewel.
Hi, Jewel. Where do you purchase the large bag of Table Tasty? You can actually get it on Amazon. I'll put a link to it in the show notes, and you can see it there.
But this thing is, it's nutritional yeast. It is carrots, bell peppers, onions, arrowroot, lemon, citric acid, celery, dill, weed, parsley, basil, allspice, paprika, and then the silicon dioxide is to prevent it from caking. I think that they're coming out with a new formula where it doesn't have the silicon dioxide, but it still cakes. Yeah. But you just stick a spoon in there and move it around, and it's fine.
We go through quite a bit of it, so we don't have too much problem with the cake.
This thing should be almost ready to
go into the cooking mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have another question? Okay. T and the G. Oh, what kind of knife do you use? Rick was showing the knife earlier, and we're going to put a link to it in the show notes. So it's really sharp. And that's the thing you have to be careful with, because this
one here is called Dahlstrom.
Yeah.
Shogun series.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful knife. It's got those little indentations that stop things from sticking. It's sharp as heck. But besides that, I was using, how do you say that?
The Sepua?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really see it. Yeah, the Kaplan knife. But what happened was we were using these, and they're really great knives, and they were very sharp, and Rick would sharpen them. But then when I bought this one for Rick, it was so much sharper than what we were used to, and you really have to be careful when you transition to a knife like this. Watch where your fingers are, and make sure you put those bunny ears out and tuck your fingertips back so that you don't injure yourself. Yeah, that's the Teflon knife that he has.
It has a great weight. It's got a really nice feel to the handle and stuff. I think it's cheaper than that one.
Yeah, it's less expensive. Yeah.
But it's a really nice knife. They make some nice quality stuff. And we've got a whole set of them. I got the little one. I've got this one that's serrated. Got the big one. They have paring type knives. Really cool.
But this was.
And you should always have one of these, which is honing. It keeps it sharp.
But this one has become a favorite so now.
This has become my favorite because it's so sharp. It just cuts everything like butter. And then, you know, before I use it, I usually just clean up the edge a little bit, or before I put it to bed. Anytime you use it, wash it, dry it, and then put it back in its sleeve. I have mine inside of a butcher block, inside the drawer. I'm not going to take it out. Got too much stuff in there, but works out real good.
Okay, let's see if we have another question. Joanne, great, easy, and cheap salt. Oh, I have a great, easy, and cheap salt replacement while cooking 1 tablespoon onion powder, 1 tablespoon garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of celery seed. Oh, the celery seed. You see, guys?
Celery seed
you
gives
should
it
be
that
typing
salty
in
flavor
the
as well.
comments to encourage Joanne to come on the show. Jewel said, thanks, Joanne. Jewel, you have to tell her, oh, Kathy Hester uses this all the time. We're even going to have Kathy Hester on the show coming up. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, you guys have to encourage Joanne to come on the show because she's really, really an awesome cook and has a lot of great tips, especially for converting other recipes to this particular kind of lifestyle. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. Brian, how do you cook without oil? What do you do if something sticks to the pan?
The only reason it's going to stick to the pan is because you either have too much heat or too little heat, you know? And a lot of times you want to get that browning stuck to the pan because that browns, not black, but brown, it will give you more flavor. That's the caramelization of the onions or whatever it is. But take a teaspoon of water. If it starts sticking, take a teaspoon of water, throw it in with it. A little bit of water will loosen it all up. That's my tip. Other people online might have a tip as well.
I think that's a good tip.
But normally I cook with stainless steel. I don't use the other stuff.
Yeah, we don't use nonstick, so it works out. It works out well.
This one is my favorite pot. It's like a chicken fryer, and it's made. This is a Wolfgang Puck 11-inch chicken fryer, but one of my favorite pots.
Yeah,
right there.
We have a video.
And I've left this thing on the stove. Forgot that I started heating it up before I threw it in, and I go on the computer, and I'd be like, "Oh no, 10 minutes, man!" And this thing is like burning red.
It's very forgiving.
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I would have trashed at least this thing 4 times, maybe more, over the past couple of years.
Yeah,
but
he'll go on the.
Doesn't even walk. It's wonderful.
We have a recipe where he uses that to make mushrooms without oil. You should check out that YouTube video.
But I always wanted a wok, so I got this thing, which is wonderful as well. And this is the same brand as the knife.
The Capcom. Yeah, so you can do it, and you just also we had Chef Bravo on, and he said that one of the things that he does when he cooks, he doesn't just cook with his eyes and his nose and his mouth. He cooks with his ears, so he can hear the difference in what's going on with the sizzling in the pan. And even if he walks away from it, he can hear if it's cooking and maybe sticking.
Not all of us are that talented, though.
Well, he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't go on the computer.
I've learned to start setting a timer because I'll walk away, I'll start doing things, and I'll flake out.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we have another question. Victoria, can you freeze the soup? If so, what do you use to store it in the freezer?
Oh, okay. I have not made this soup, but I'm assuming this soup will freeze beautifully. Farro freezes wonderfully. I have frozen, I make a mushroom mixture that I use kind of as a base, and we freeze it into these blocks. You have that freezer stuff? She's got these, it depends on how much you want to freeze at one time, but what we've been using for the past couple of months is Amy found these super cubes.
Yeah, our friend Beverly recommended them. And I'll put a link in the show notes. I think they're down here. Yeah.
So it freezes them into giant.
They're like.
Ice cubes.
Yeah, they're like silicone ice cube trays, and you can see that they have a heavy metal frame on them. So this way, it's very easy to pop things out. So when we make batch cook the mushrooms or beans
Or the soup.
or the soup, right? You can just pour it, and in here they have lines to measure for how, you know, the half a cup or a cup, and they have the metric measure on the other side, and then they have this lid, and then it seals on top, and then you can transport it over to the freezer, and then when it's frozen solid, you can just pop it out, and then you can take these giant cubes. And what I like is if you wanted to serve yourself a bowl of soup, you could just take this cube out and put it in a microwave safe bowl and pop it in the microwave, and now you have a serving of soup that way. And then there's another way that we
in the beginning, when we first started, we started with these glass lock and locks. So you can put them inside of here and lock them. Amy doesn't like to use plastic. These things do have a plastic lid, but it's mainly a bowl.
Right, so if the food doesn't go all the way up to the top, the food isn't touching the plastic. And those go in the microwave, in the oven without the lid, and also in the freezer, so you can freeze things in that as well.
We have many, many sizes of those.
Yes, because we do a lot of batch cooking.
Little ones, big ones.
Okay.
Also, what I started recently doing, well, this is about a little over a year ago, it's just prior to COVID, we got this vacuum sealer. So, because I do a lot of batch cooking, the vacuum sealer will suck all the air out, and then you'll have it. And I'll show you a couple of the ones that I actually have. Last night I opened up a frozen bag of. I made this. No, it wasn't lasagna. Yeah, it wasn't baked ziti, but when they have the Vidalia onions. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day there was a guy from Chicago. What was his name? The Frugal Gourmet. I used to watch things when I was a kid because I like it. The Frugal Gourmet had made a. If you've ever been in New York, they have hot dog stands on the corners in Manhattan.
Too.
Chicago, yeah, I'm sure Chicago because he's from Chicago. The onion mix that you put on with hot dogs. Yeah. It's a red sauce hot dog. I never knew how you make it. He turned around and showed me how to make it one time. And it's really simple. You take the Vidalia onions or the really sweet onions, but the Vidalia is what he said. He said, anytime you get the Vidalia, you buy these, you take the marinara, you throw in this paprika, you boil them, you saute them, and then you freeze them. And it's wonderful. So I was putting them inside little plastic bags. Anyway, these are my cupcakes. I make these little chocolate cupcakes. And I freeze them. And because if you keep them in too long, they get that frost all over them. These things have been in there probably for, I'm going to say 3 months. And they have no frost at all. And it's vacuum packed. And they're little bite-sized cupcakes. In fact, we'll put these in the refrigerator and we'll have them later.
We have a recipe for that on the website. I forgot they were in there.
But I have a bunch of them. Yeah. I made corn muffins the other day.
Yeah, but we have a recipe for that on the website as well. And they're great because even when they're frozen, you can take them out and then pop them on a microwave safe plate and
see here, 20 seconds. I froze this. I made these little corn muffins.
Right, Kelly said, send some frozen cupcakes my way.
So these are corn muffins. So it's like cornbread made like little muffins. And you talk about frozen. I just stuck them inside of this glass lock and lock, and I froze them. So we should take these out because I think that these will go really, really well with the soup.
Yeah.
So we'll take out about a half dozen of these.
And all you have to do, like I said, put my microwave safe plate and pop it in the microwave for like 20 seconds, and it'll just make it. It won't make it hot. It'll just make it, room temp if you want it hot, or of course you can do more. Any other questions? That's gonna be good. Ellie wants to know where we get the nutritional yeast. We have a link for that in the show notes, so you can just look for that.
I've been getting my nutritional yeast off Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's a certain brand with the nutritional yeast. You don't want to use anything with that fortified with folic acid, because the folic acid, even though they say it's good for children and stuff.
No.
Okay, you know more about it.
Well, folic acid is in a lot of prenatal vitamins, especially because they said it's very important. And it's actually a synthetic form of folate. And guess what? Folate is in your green leafy vegetables. It's in a lot of plants that we eat. So we don't need folic acid. Since it's a synthetic version of folate and it's made with petroleum and so forth, and it's really not health promoting. So a lot of times they do fortify nutritional yeast with folic acid, but a lot of them are out there now realizing that people don't want that. So just make sure when you find a brand of nutritional yeast, don't look at the ingredients before you buy it. Make sure it does not have folic acid.
Means if you can't find anything else, that's fine. But when you buy it as much as I do, because I buy I buy it in the big bags, 2 pound, 3 pound bags. During the COVID thing, it was in short supply. So we were lucky. We wound up, getting a small case of it. And it lasted me throughout that period of time.
Right. Might not have
You can get it now, but
yeah.
Well, even now, I don't know. You got the.
Oh, you'll find it. I think it's been online. Okay, let's see if we have another question.
I need to order some.
Yes, we do.
I just noticed that today.
Harry, where can I get a good food processor?
What kind of food? How big of a food processor? I got this little one, this little Ninja one. Okay, I use this thing every day, just about. But this is not really. This is not really like a food. It still chop your stuff up. It'll do everything a food processor does, but there are all sorts of them out there. So it depends how big or small you want it. The one that I recently bought, which I thought was fairly reasonable, and it's got a really good motor on it. What was it called? Maybe
Okay, so that's a Breville. Yeah, the one that we have is a Breville. What I like about it is it has a large capacity, because I find that when I'm going to lug out the big food processor versus the small one here, if I'm lugging that thing out, then I want it to have large capacity so that when I'm making prepping my meals, I don't have to keep dumping it out.
In this lifestyle, you really should use gadgets. It helps to have the right stuff. But this one here, it works really nice. It's got a very nice size motor. It doesn't bog down. It's got a pretty good capacity size, and it's pretty easy. It comes with a few different pretty easy to use. It shreds. When I make my chocolate cake, we make it with beets and zucchini and carrots. That's what those chocolate cupcakes are made from.
You'll have to check out the recipe.
No, it does have some whole wheat pastry flour in there, but you can change it to a millet or something of that nature. I believe millet is gluten free.
So, and then what I liked about this one is it's a wide mouth food processor, which means that if you have like cabbage, I like to shred cabbage. You could fit a very large pieces of cabbage in here and shred it if you wanted to. But if you had something that you wanted to do that was smaller than that, you could put this adjustable lid on it, and now you have a smaller opening, and it has an even smaller opening here.
But it also depends on how much money you have to spend.
Right.
You know, you could get a nice like Westinghouse.
You can get it from a big box store for $20-$30.
This thing is a little bit more expensive, right. But because I had the smaller one, I actually gave it to my father. He doesn't use it much, and that one was really nice. But when you go to and you use it quite often, you want to get something that's a good appliance, and you don't want to have to fight with it. Otherwise, you're not going to use it.
Right.
You know.
And I like that it has this smaller opening, like if you were going to do carrots or celery, and then of course this is the pusher. And you know, we really don't go out to eat very often, and when we used to go out to
not
eat,
anymore.
And so, well, even in earlier years, we didn't go out to eat as often as we did before we adopted this lifestyle, and before we figured out how to make healthy food taste delicious. So we're really saving a lot of money from not going out to restaurants, and that's why we can justify buying appliances like this that make it easier for us to cook. So let's see if we have another question. Carol, what do you usually eat in a day? Okay, so Rick usually makes the breakfast, and it's usually a smoothie. And what we do is we have, well, I'll show you, because we have some in the refrigerator. So we have,
What was the question?
what do we eat today?
What are we eating? What?
In a day.
Oh, I'll eat this. This is my baked ziti, and it's inside of one of those suction wrap thing. But morning, we're pretty regular with what we eat in the morning, which is
Yeah, so he'll make a smoothie, a green smoothie, and the recipe for that's on the website. He also showed you how to make it on a YouTube video. And
the lupus lady. Right?
yes, Brooke Goldner, Dr. Brooke Goldner was on, and she talks about smoothies and how important they are. So that's what we'll eat for breakfast. The contents of these 2 cups would be about half of a Vitamix container. So between the 2 of us, we'll each have.
I'll stuff a Vitamix full of kale, fruits, veggies. So carrots, beets, celery, and like I said, kale. A lot of times Amy will do sprouts. She does. Did you show me sprouts?
No, I didn't show them sprouts.
So she's in the process of
sprouting broccoli seeds. Right now they're just in their baby stage.
She'll always have sprouts ready. Whoops.
That's okay. Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll stuff these through, and I'll throw a bunch of fruit inside of that. Either pineapple, watermelon, peaches.
Yeah, berries each day.
Blackberries. I have a bunch of frozen, so if I don't have fresh, I always have frozen.
And flaxseed and chia.
Flaxseed and chia is very important.
Yeah.
A bunch of it. I used to grind it, but since we listened to Brooke, Dr. Goldner, I just throw it in whole now and grind it into Vitamix, which saves a lot of time, which is really nice as far as the chia and the flaxseed goes.
And then
and then we'll have big salad.
Sometimes we'll have, for lunch or dinner, depending on what our day's going like. I prepare a bunch of these salads up ahead of time. You can kind of see the rectangular formation of these mushrooms because they were frozen, and I just pop them out into the salad. And I chop up the greens very finely with my awesome knife, and I have beans in there and edamame and chopped up vegetables and fennel and onions and greens and so forth.
And this was frozen. This is the Vidalia onions with macaroni and mushrooms.
And that's whole wheat, yeah.
Yes, that was last night. I had that with the salad.
Right, so that's about what we eat. So, I think
and crackers.
Yeah.
So I make crackers.
Harold, could you bring the salad closer to the camera? Sure can. Okay. So here you go. I don't know if you can. Is that better?
Yeah. So what you got in there? She has chickpeas, mushrooms. She has mushrooms every day.
Oh.
It's ready.
It's ready. That was perfect timing. So now you get to see the dragon. Oh, that's fun. Okay, show them the dragon.
I'm not sure which way it's going to go. But you ready? Okay, so like I said, I was going to do a natural pressure release, but we're going to do an instant release at this time. So the dragon, you just turn it so that it. Can you see that?
Yeah, gotta have fun in the kitchen. That was really cool. So, and it's nice because if you want to keep the steam from
it won't shoot up at the ceiling.
Shoot up at the ceiling, or if you're near your cabinets and so forth, it diverts it away from the cabinets, and it's just fun. So, yeah.
A lot of liquid's coming out because it's really full. I'm gonna have to drain that.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be plating this up pretty soon so that you guys can see what it is.
The Instapot has a little drain hole at the back of this, and it goes into this little cup that fills up with liquid if in fact it comes out. So if in fact the cup fills up, which it did on this particular one, you don't want it overflowing, otherwise it's going to wind up all over the floor of your counter.
Okay, so now Stacy said cute dragon release, isn't it?
Right? Anyway, and I have this glove, which is
for the
mandolin, so you don't cut yourself. Because everybody thinks they're not going to get cut, but believe me, if you use it, you're going to get cut.
Yeah.
You're going to cut off the tip of your finger. I've done it once or twice. Nice little chunk. Gone. And this will prevent that from happening. It also works as good as an oven mitt, because I think it's made of some kind of asbestos material. It's probably not asbestos, but it's like that.
It's just as good.
It's like it.
So I wanted to thank you. Oh, Stacy said it's definitely worth paying a little more for your gadgets if you cook a lot. Exactly, and if you're going to cook a lot at home, then you're not going to be going out to eat as much in the restaurants because your food is going to taste better than the food that you.
My food always tastes better.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, maybe not always. Well, yeah, pretty much.
Joanne said it also helps that the kids moved out, so there's more room for gadgets and
That's right.
small appliances. Yeah, we need Paul to come over.
Joanne she turned us on to a couple of gadgets too.
Yes, she did.
She's a gadget gal.
Yeah, and her husband makes some really cool
Music.
Well, he plays good music, but he also makes cool areas for her to store her gadgets to make her kitchen user friendly.
He's very handy man.
Maybe she'll give us a tour of the kitchen one day with all of her cool pantry. Oh, Stacey wants to know if they're oyster shucking gloves. These are special gloves that you can buy. We got them on Amazon, and they're just when you use a mandolin.
I would imagine these are probably what they're going to be using for oyster shucking. Yeah. You can't. I don't know if you can, but it's really difficult to cut through them.
So yeah, it's really cool.
See, a quick pressure release when it's this full.
Yeah. Okay. So Joanne, use that glove with mandolins for sure. Yeah, because you get so tempted, especially when you have a small piece of something left and you can't use the mandolin guard in order to slice, so you get tempted just to use your hand, and you say, "Oh, I'm just going to be very careful." And it's not
to use that guard that comes with it. You never really get down to the bottom where you're going to cut your fingers.
Yeah.
You know, when you're up at the top, it ain't no big deal. You don't even need it. It went down when you get to the bottom, but it never really gets that little bit that's left. And you're always using your finger to get it.
Yeah, so this really helps a lot.
You know, especially when you're cutting a lot of potatoes. You make a potato salad or zucchinis or something like that. Because I'll make it like a lasagna with a zucchini, and we'll make that into a noodle. Amy got me this really great. And we showed it on one of it. It will. You hook it up to your mix master. And and you put your zucchini in there, and it cuts it, and it just comes into ribbons. Yeah, into a sheet that's like an eighth of an inch thick. It's wonderful, but it doesn't cut the seeds, which is good. But I'll use that with something else, and we'll make it into a sauce.
Yeah, so it comes up like you can make rolls.
You can make like sushi with it.
It kind of looks like a nori when it comes.
Few people listen fingers.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Rick may be coming back at the end of the month.
Yeah, we had another cancellation.
Well, rescheduling. So he may be coming back. So if you guys have something that you think that he should make, that you would like to see him make, let us know. That doesn't mean you have to. Yeah,
if you see it on our website and you're like, well, how does he actually do that? We can do that.
Yeah.
I could try something else too, but I mean, give me a little bit of warning.
Yeah. So let me know. So. Oh, Stacy said, I love my spiralizer for making pasta from veggies. So she has one too. We'll put a link in the show notes so you guys can see what we're talking about. But we also used it when we did a video with Chef AJ. We showed her the gadget as well.
When we were making lasagna. We made a lasagna or a big pizza?
Yeah, we made a lasagna with the noodles from the zucchini. So it's on our YouTube channel with Chef AJ. So, is it okay? I didn't know if you were ready.
Not yet.
All right. So
takes a little while.
I want to make sure if there's any other questions.
If you don't have an Instapot, you should get an Instapot. They're one of the best tools to have for this kind of lifestyle.
Yes,
it really is. We make a great split piece dal that I turn into crackers as well. That's on our website. You can make it with a brown lentil or the green lentil.
Oh, look, it's ready. I'll get a late.
It's boiling.
Okay. Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Well, I don't want to.
We'll plate it. I don't know if we're gonna taste it because it's really hot, but we'll plate it, right? So you can show them how you.
You want it in this one? Okay.
Wow. Joanne said, I bought the sheet spiralizer because of you on Chef AJ. Oh, you'll have to tell us what you made.
And then you take the bay leaf out. You don't want to eat the bay leaves. So if you run it into a bay leaf, let's see. Can you see that?
Mm.
And Amy got some fresh basil from the
garden.
From the garden. So before you throw it on, you can put some fresh basil on there. You can sprinkle it with a little parmesan if you want to.
Wow, we're gonna have to take a picture. That looks really good. Ooh.
And there you go. I think it's gonna.
It's gonna be
probably
really
has a nice
good.
flavor.
Yeah. You want to try it?
Sure.
It's gonna be really hot though.
It's okay. Try it.
I'm chicken.
Okay.
Okay. Oh wow.
Let me know. Wow.
Really good.
Of course. You doubt me?
Never. Well, I've never tried it before. That's why.
That was our first time.
First time.
I'm sure it was going to be good. When I saw that recipe, I was like, I can convert that, no problem.
Yep, and the farro. I love the farro because it gives a really nice chewy, a chewy bite.
Yep.
So you guys are just gonna have to make this at home, and you could just play the video.
Yeah, you can do it just
like
like that. You can do a natural pressure release, probably work just fine as well.
Natural pressure release would mean that you just
You don't put the dragon on.
You just walk away, go walk the dogs, or go do something around the house, and then come back and it'll be ready. And that's the great thing about the pressure cooker.
But the carrots still have a texture to them.
Oh, Robin J said, "How can you tell that you can convert a recipe, Rick?"
Oh, if they're using a whole bunch of stuff that you normally don't eat, or shouldn't be, or in our case, shouldn't be eating, I usually don't even try. But a lot of times it's like they're cooking with oil. The reason that they're using oil is because they're sauteing in the oil. Sometimes people are using coconut oil to keep things moist. You could use nuts and things like that, which will give you the natural oils that you can convert to give it that gelatinous type of feel, or the creaminess that they're trying to get. As far as salt goes, sometimes you can use lemons, like if in fact it calls for celery, like Joanne mentioned, celery seed has a salty flavor to it. Celery has a salty flavor. Natural foods have salt inside of them. So if you utilize those foods, that'll give you a little bit more salt. So when I like this particular recipe, originally it called out for 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. That was basically used for sauteing. So I'm going to water saute the celery, the carrots, and then it called for salt and pepper. So I use Table Tasty and Chili 9000. Amy doesn't care for black pepper for the most part, but sometimes she doesn't even know that it's in there. And then it calls for the farro and the barley, and then the beans. You can buy the salt-free beans. You can make your own beans, especially if you have an Instant Pot. It makes beans like no problem. Chopped tomatoes. So this one was an easy conversion. All I was doing was doing away with the oil, and I was doing away with the salt. Others, and then the cheese, they were calling for regular cheese. I knew that I can make my nut Parmesan cheese, so no big deal.
Yeah, so there's ways around it.
There are other ones where it's like there's just too much of it, and I'm not even going to bother. But you as you start cooking, you can get the feel for it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. There's just the longer you eat this way, the more familiar you get with the ingredients and the substitutions, and also with the different types of appliances that you can use, and you figure it out. And if it doesn't taste good, then you can always add
make it into crackers.
Make it into crackers, and that's what Rick done. I'm going to make you into crackers.
We have a pantry, and I went through the pantry just last week, and I found a bunch of canned black beans. Normally we just make our own black
But
beans
we
because
keep
we make them
some
dry.
just in case we run out or in case we just.
Well,
need
we
something.
bought up a bunch of stuff when we could during the COVID stuff, so that we made sure that we had food too.
Yeah. So
now it's been a year or whatever, and they're going to be out of date. So I needed to use them up. So I was like, I saw a recipe for refried beans, and I was like, oh, I can make refried beans. Now their recipe, I couldn't. I tried to convert it, but and then I had spinach that was going bad. So I was like, well, I'll put the refried beans and I'll add spinach because you always wanted to have greens in with your food. So I used that, and then I tasted it, and I throw a little table tasty in. I had this Rotel. These things are starting to go.
It's going toward their expiration,
yeah,
so it's going to be time to use them too.
Yeah, that was April of 21, so I need to use that.
Yeah.
So I threw that in, and I ate it, but I didn't really enjoy it that much. And it was sat in the refrigerator a little longer than I wanted. I was like, Amy, I'm just going to toss this. And then I said, I'll just make it into crackers. So check this out.
Yes. And he has a video on how to make crackers, and it's not with that particular mixture, but what he's trying to say is that, you can do it with almost anything and make it into crackers. So there's a video on how he does that.
A week ago, this bag was this full, and she didn't eat any of it, which is. But I made this black bean. So this is black bean spinach with some. I put in some seeds and sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. Listen to this.
Ooh, that's crunchy.
And it's made from black beans, and it's delicious.
So
it's addicting too.
If all else fails, make it into a cracker, and you can check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Stacy said, "What am I doing wrong there? I saute my mushrooms with water. They are tough. Should I cut them smaller?" So Stacy said that her mushrooms are coming out tough and not moist, like maybe too tough.
How long do you cook them for?
Right. If you cut them smaller, that may not be the key, right? And what part of the
longer you cook them, the softer they're going to get.
Right.
There's no doubt about that. So you might just need to cook them a little bit longer. But that means you might have to stand in front of the frying pan a little bit longer. Or if you use an Instapot, you just throw it in, and that liquid, will soften almost anything up.
Yeah, maybe then you should try that. And you can check out our video on cooking mushrooms in that pan.
This is good.
So I know. I keep smelling it and saying, I want to eat all this. Okay. Well,
you might want to have these mushrooms instead of having them full like that.
Yeah. They came out kind of big.
I thought they'd be smaller after they dry up a little.
Yeah. Well, how about a good hearty chili, but not too spicy? Well, we'll have to think about that. That could be what he cooks. So you guys just put up all your suggestions, and he's going to look through them and see.
The heat that you use in the chili, this stuff makes it really good.
Yeah.
This is not too hot, but if you don't use the Rotel, it's all up to the chili that you're using to make it hot in a lot of cases. And if you use that chili 9000, it has the nutritional yeast in 3 different types of pretty sweet and a little bit of heat. It has a nice flavor. That's one of the reasons that I like it.
Well, I'm so glad that you guys joined us today. And of course, we wouldn't be here talking to ourselves. Well, we would be here talking to ourselves and cooking, but it's a lot of fun when you guys are here too. So if you can please like, comment, share, and type in the show notes below, you're going to see all the recipes and the links to the things. And you can comment, be strong, be well, and be green. But most of all, I'm just so glad that you're here because we want to share what works for us with this lifestyle. We want everybody out there to try this, to see if you can adopt this lifestyle and get the health benefits like we did. And it is just,
It made a big difference in my life, I'll tell you.
And it's very doable.
I couldn't touch my toes.
See that? And now
I swim a half mile every day. Do all sorts of wonderful things.
Yeah, we're older and we're stronger and we feel a lot healthier. So I wanted to thank somebody in the background, and that's Rebecca from PKA Solves, and she has been engineering and putting up the comments and putting up our pictures and so forth. Thanks, Rebecca. I also wanted to thank Jessica from Just Toss Boys. She did the countdown and also the promotional videos. I want to thank you guys for being in here. And I want to let you know that Just Todd's Voice is going to tell us who is coming up next. Sending love to Joe.
Plant-based since 2012, Beverly Bowen enjoys finding and creating recipes that are both healthy and delicious. You can find her plant-based cooking on Pinterest. Join us for a culinary demo of SOS Free Granola, Friday, June 26th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Be Green with Amy, live.
So join me and Rick as we sign off with my tagline. Until we see you again, remember, be strong, be well, and be green. Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.